Welcome to a snowy Gdańsk, and in particular, welcome to the Museum for the Second World War. We're going to take a little tour inside this museum today. We're going to see what it has on offer, so come with us on this journey. Just about to start the tour. For some reason it's free today to actually do the museum tour. I'll have a look later on why that is. It could be because it's a Tuesday, it's reduced hours. Usually it'd be 29 zloty to enter. One thing that we have gone for is an audio guide, which I'd always absolutely recommend. It's only 12 zloty to get an audio guide. You can get it in a variety of different languages as well, but it just absolutely helps to understand the exhibitions, to understand what you're seeing here as well. So let's start the tour. The tour starts with the events that occurred at the end of the First World War. Here we see what is known as the Versailles Stone, a marker that shows the boundaries of countries as they were divided following the Treaty of Versailles. We're then taken to the main exhibition area itself, a large, almost brutalist concrete structure designed not to entertain, but to ponder and to contemplate the stories and evidence within. The first few rooms highlight the events that occurred in the countries that formed the Axis powers in the interwar years. We start with the Soviet Union and how communism and Stalin's leadership drastically changed the political landscape within the country. Next is Italy and the role of Mussolini and fascism. Then finally, we see Germany and Adolf Hitler and the impact of National Socialism, or as it's otherwise known, the Nazi Party. We're now taken to what a typical street in Poland would have looked like in the 1930s, and we'll revisit this later on in a compelling but important demonstration of the impacts of war. It's important to remember that this museum is very much detailing Poland's story and history within the sphere of the Second World War. We now see other world events that shaped the landscape in the build-up to World War II, such as the expansionism of the Japanese Empire and the impacts of the Spanish Civil War, which occurred in the mid-1930s. With all of this background information in place, we're now taken to the events that led directly into the start of World War II in September 1939. The exhibitions in the next few rooms detail the impact on Poland in those early days and months. The evidence is compelling. Nothing here has been whitewashed. The pictures and videos that are shown are certainly moving and at times harrowing. Within 5 weeks, Poland had fallen. This picture on the wall shows the dividing line that was agreed and signed by the German and Soviet forces following their victory. The war was to move further into Europe. The exhibition continues by showing artifacts from the war, such as an example of the German dive bomber aircraft that was used, the Junkers Ju-87. There are also some interactive elements to the exhibition. For example, you can see an example of a soldier's kit bag. As explained here, it weighs 14 kilograms. And you can try holding and lifting an example of a bag. And then imagine carrying that at all times. The next part of the museum is possibly the most difficult part to witness and experience, but it's absolutely a story that needs to be told. It's the terror and the blight of the concentration camps and the Holocaust. Here you'll see examples of the train trucks used to transport people to the camps, alongside maps depicting their locations. But the most compelling part within this area are the vivid human stories of individuals and families who were sent to these camps. Doors are used to show the experiences of families and households who were ripped apart by this heinous act that was imposed by the Nazi regime. This part of the museum really tries to honour and remember the more than 6 million people, the Jews, the Roma people, the disabled, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the communists and homosexuals who were brutally murdered during the Holocaust. The next part of the museum depicts many of the resistance movements that set up during the war, and some of the things used that turned the tide against the Axis powers. For example, you can see an example of the decoding machine that Polish engineers helped design to break the German Enigma code. There are also examples of the posters and propaganda that was used by countries on both sides of the war. These had a powerful effect on winning the patriotic support of citizens within each country involved. The next part of the exhibition details how the war was finally concluded in 1945. Here, it details the political, social, and geographical effects of the war on all of the countries involved. But just because the war was over, this didn't mean that Poland's struggles and difficulties ended there. Destruction and devastation had been left over in the wake of the fighting and the battling. And remember the scene from the typical Polish city that we saw earlier? A bustling street with so much to offer. Here is a depiction of that same street, but this time in 1945, clearly ravaged by the effects of war. The museum concludes by showing the post-war effects in Europe, but in particular within Poland. Whilst the fighting may have stopped, Poland ended up within the communist sphere, controlled by the Soviet Union. And it was only in 1989 that Poland was able to enjoy true independence and democracy once more. So just finished the tour in the Second World War Museum here in Gdańsk. I had a little look. It's free on Tuesdays, hence why I've been able to get in for free today. There are times where it is quite harrowing, it is quite gruesome what you see, but it's a story that needs to be told. It's definitely, if you're here in Gdańsk, I'd say to visit. It is definitely well worth the experience. And as always, I've been Mike the Travelling Scouser, and you've been awesome. Catch you next time.